Good morning, sir, classmates. We are the group 3, me, Crisaila, Jordan, Jerome, Angel, and Linus. We present to you guys the rock mechanics. So, nay bagatay ti rock mechanics. Ana ti umunang damagen when mapanunod tayo. So, what is rock? Next slide, please. What is rock? Aggregates of mineral grains that are connected by strong and permanent forces. A rock is a solid mass of geological materials. Geological materials include individual mineral crystals, inorganic non-mineral solids like glass, pieces broken from other rocks, and even fossils. The geological materials in rocks may be inorganic, but they can also include organic materials such as partially decomposed plant matter preserved in coal. Next slide, please. So rocks are grouped into 3 main categories based on how they form. And these 3 main categories, we natakal na natin to, and I'll just give you a brief definition on it. So there are 3 main classifications. Sedimentary rocks, metamorphic rocks, and igneous rocks. So what is igneous rocks? So igneous rocks form when melted rock cools and solidifies. Sedimentary rocks form when fragments of other rocks are buried, compressed, and cemented together, or when minerals precipitate from solution, either directly or with the help of organisms. Metamorphic rocks form when heat and pressure alter a pre-existing rock. Although temperatures can be very high, metamorphism does not involve melting of the rock. Next. Next, please. So what is rock mechanics? Rock mechanics is the study of rock behavior in the solid state under varying environmental and internal conditions. Rock mechanics will determine the shear strength of the rock, which in turn will allow the rock to resist the forces applied to it. Rock mechanics can also determine the response of rock when it is subjected to dynamic loading that may be a result of man-made applications or natural occurrences like earthquakes. Next. Rock mechanics' main focus is how rock responds to applied stresses, especially occur due to gravity, manite convection, plate tectonics, and Diapiric movements of magma, salt diapirs. Next reporter, please.
Sharon? Sharon?
Ni Kakas. Kakas ba?
Wait maning.
Ate. Sino ka report?
Adan kakasin?
Next reporter, please.
Kakas.
Wait, Lalios. Report mo ito sa Lalios.
This further supplemented.
Blood kinyam.
This is further supplemented by study of weathering joints, shears, faults, and other rock deformation. Weathering. First, weathering. It is the process of disintegration and decomposition of rocks and minerals at or near the Earth's surface. Second, joints. A brittle fracture surface in rocks, along with little or no displacement, has occurred, present in nearly all surface rocks. Joints extend in various directions, generally more toward the vertical than to the horizontal joints. Joints may have smooth, clean surfaces, or they may be scarred by slickened sides or striations. Next, shears. In geology, shear is the response of a rock to deformation, usually by compressive stress, and forms particular textures. Shear can be homogeneous or non-homogeneous, and may be pure shear or simple shear. Last, faults. In geology, a fault is a planar fracture or discontinuity in a volume of rocks across which there has been significant displacement as a result of rock mass movements. Next, presenter.
Sharon?
Yes.
What purpose of rock mean? Happy. The purpose of rock mechanics is to understand why rock deform either as sporadic or catastrophic event. It is commonly applied to civil and geological engineering, mining, drilling, and conventional reservoir geohazard evaluation. The challenges and opportunities. New ideas to solve the challenges provide opportunities for economic benefits. The importance of opportunities depends on minimum risk during construction, long-term quality of infrastructure, and speed construction. So, construct takes the surface or good surface. It helps determine their form and next slide. Please.
Environmental conditions that affect rock conditions is factors. Stress or stress history. Stress is the rate of stress applied over time. Temperature. Temperature is another factor affecting the deformation of rock. Increasing the temperature can decrease the yield stress. Once this occurs, small, ductile, and less susceptible and fracturing. And thus, poor fluid pressure. Slide. The internal conditions that affects rock condition are is composition. Fabric, pore cracks and flaws. Degree weathering. Degree weathering is indicated by the losses of all of the mobile principally silica, lime, soda, and necia. Presence of fluids in pore cracks. So, next reporter.
Behaviors. Rigid. No strain, no response. Most rocks shows rigid behavior room and no PC and at stress below. No strain before failure. In ideal brittle behavior, if stress is removed before rock fails, there will be internal signs of strain. Next slide, please. Important brittle failure. Shear failure. Stand-up time. Rock strength. Spain. Wedge failure. Squeezing. Next slide, please. Shear failure. A shear load is a force that tends to produce a failure on material along the that is parallel to the direction of force. That picture is that picture na ba? Shape of original fracture that may kadwa nga ada pinagsinaan na, and then that ductile fracture. So that is a brittle behavior. So brittle behavior, a material is a brittle if, when subjected to stress, it breaks without significant deformation or strain. Next slide, please. Rock strength. The compressive strength of rock is a function of the confining pressure. As confining pressure increases, so does the strength. Spalling. Spalling. Spale are flakes of materials that are broken of a larger salt pads and can be produced by a variety of mechanisms, including as result of weathering and cavitation. Spaling and spallation both describe the process of space failure in which spale is shed. Okay, that's the examples of increase of corrosive species into porous concrete, cracking and the concrete cover, build up of voluminous corrosion products. Okay, next slide please. I think text presenter, next reporter please.
Wedge failure. Wedge failure of rock slope results when rock mass slides along two intersecting discontinuities, forming a wedge-shaped block. Example of wedge failure, also known as block failure of plane, generates a failure plane that is inclined. This type of failure occurs when there are fissures, joints, or weak soil layers in slope, or when slope is made of two different materials. Next slide, please. Squeezing. Generally, compression forces up in the opposite direction. Resulting decrease in length, volume, and area. There are three types of stress. Tensional stress. is the stress that tends to pull something apart. It is the stress component perpendicular to a given surface such as a fault plate that result from forces applied perpendicular to the surface or from remote forces transmitted through the surrounding rock.